Hello, hi my good people. I hope you are good. So welcome back to my YouTube channel, and we are going to talk about 6 types of fear. So these 6 types of fear are some of the fears that people fear. So number one is the fear of being criticized. Fear of criticism. What will people say? If I do this, if I take this chance, if I quit this job today, if I change my career, if I move to a different town, what will people say and how will people think about me? So fear of being criticized, it's one of the fears that make people even to procrastinate because they have that anxiety of what will people say. It's your choice, it's your life, it's your path. But at the end of the day, you are so concerned about what will people say than what it will bring that fulfillment to you. So fear of being criticized is something that will make us even to shrink. It's something that will make us not to take a bold step and not to take that next level in life because we fear what will people say. And this fear has made even people to lose their lives, even in abusive relationships, because they don't want to live. They fear what will people say. Will the church judge me? Will my siblings, will my family, will my friends, will my colleagues, everything will, how will they see me and how will they treat me? So fear of being criticized is something that is really killing a lot of dreams. It is something that is making us to stay low, not to take that leap of faith, not to fulfill our purpose, and not to do things that gives us that fulfillment because we fear people are going to criticize us. We feel like people are going to say, you don't know how to speak good English, or maybe you're not fit for that, or it is not for you, or in our family people don't do this. So you tend to feel like people will talk negative about us. People will judge us. But I went to a shop in town and there was something on the wall, and this small it was like a small, how can I call it? Like there were words written, and these words were, "What if it works out?" And I love that because most of us we fear, what if it works out? That is something even I'm asking you. Even me that day I was like, by the way, what if it works out? And I was fearing. So the second fear is fear of love. And this fear of love is all about the relationship that we keep, our babes, our sweethearts, the people that you are dating, the people that you are having romantic relationship with, and the family. And in this case, it is, you want to be loved and to belong. It is our human desire. And we always fear, what if I do this and then they take away the love? What if I go and take that job and then this person leaves me? What if I go to maybe Mombasa and my family is against that? What is I'm being disowned? What if I make this choice even to stay with this person and then my mom will be like, if you marry that person, mimi yangu na wewe imeisha. We have this fear of losing that love, that bit of being loved and belonging to a family. That fear of, this person loves me so much, me I cannot do this. At the expense of what? At the expense of what? Because at the end of the day, you have to pay a price in everything. So it's either you are paying the price for someone else or for your own good. And at the end of the day, for me, I always say it is about purpose. Then when we die, it will not be like Oyamos family as a whole, come here, we judge you. It will be individual. It will not be like, okay, this church come here as, it will be you and God, two people. So if you're compromising at the expense of what? So this fear of being rejected, fear of people saying, if you do this, then you are not my child. But you know deep down what you are trying to do is something that is of benefit to you, of benefit to your family, of benefit to your purpose. It is just to explain to this person, this is why I'm doing it. And I know we have that fear of sinilikwambia. I don't like that word though. Sinilikwambia, uliniambia, but kimeniramba, so haya maisha isonge. It is not the outcome, it is like the outcome of everything that we do in life. There's no guarantee. That is one thing you should know. The outcome of you will work in that organization for the rest of your life, it is not a guarantee. The outcome that you will end up in that marriage forever and will marry one another is not a guarantee. The outcome that you will stick to that career until you die, it is not a guarantee. The outcome that you will stay all together, it is not a guarantee. People do die. The outcome that you will have that flamboyance and everything together until the end, it is not a guarantee. It is not a guarantee that we'll have good health forever. We only pray that God will help us. That's why I always say, do your part and leave the rest to God. Don't be the one dictating the outcome, but you know the outcome must be this way. That is why you're always disappointed because of what? Expectations. And when something turns out the way we did not expect, we are depressed, we are traumatized. So detach from the outcome, detach from the end goal. Personally, the times I don't set goals because I don't want to be disappointed. So I always say, I'll do my part. I'll put in the work. I will learn the skill. I'll always show up. I'll be consistent. But the outcome, that one does not belong to me. And I don't have control of the outcome. So make sure that even as you balance, no one knows the outcome. So wale wa nilikuambia tutaambiana tu bado. So another fear, the third fear, I wrote these things because I don't want to forget. So the third fear is the fear of ill health. Of course, I talked about good health forever. It is not guaranteed. So people fear, what if I get old? What if I get, what if I find myself I'm suffering from cancer? What if I get myself I'm having this condition? What if this happens to me? So people fear the fear of ill health. And that is why most of the time you find that when someone has something like it's growing somewhere or something, they're so anxious because they want to know what is going on. When you feel like you're having persistent headache, you're always anxious and you have that fear of what if this headache is something else? Maybe you're having a running stomach and you're anxious because you don't know what is this. Is it ulcers? Is it what? So there's that fear of ill health that of course all of us will have because all of us want to be healthy, we want to be running around, we want to go and do some things out there, just have a walk, jump up and down, do what we love. But now this fear will make us even to overthink about a small headache. We are like, me headache, unajua, in our village or in our family, people start with headache. So this fear will make us even to come up with diseases that are not there. This fear will make us to overthink about even having a running nose. So to get out of this fear is just to tell yourself that God is in control. And if you have not watched the video about choices, I talked about exercise and some of the things that we can do even to continue to be healthy. So make sure that you watch the video and also make sure that you take care of your body. If you're exercising, if you're drinking a lot of water, if you're eating healthy, the outcome is none of your business as long as you're doing the right thing. So another fear is fear of poverty. Hey, this one, even me, hey, I always make a joke with my guys and I will always tell them, my friend, mimi na poverty tulimalizana, hiyo iliisha. Because the people who I watch the podcast and someone say, I was raised in poverty, and what they're saying is not poverty. The people who don't know what poverty is, maybe one day I'll tell you what poverty is. But this fear of being poor, sometimes it's make people to hold a lot. They don't wanna, hataki kupiga sherehe in a good way. They're like, well, what if we go back to poverty? We need to take a small house. No, we need to budget. They are holding a lot because they don't want to go back to poverty. But life doesn't have a part two. Just have balance. I'm not saying go out and, just piga sherehe excess. And then I'm not saying you just like unakuwa mean, stingy too much because you fear poverty. So just have a balance. But people fear to be poor, and that is the main reason why people are motivated to work hard. I know a lot of people. So if poverty is your motivation to work hard, I got you. I know why, and I know how it feels to be poor. You know, when you're poor, kai, yani, when you're, hadi nakosa words. Like when you're poor, you don't have options. When you're poor, sometimes I see young girls, 16 years, 15 years, they're pregnant. And I say, I know what poverty can do to someone. Poverty takes away your dignity. Poverty takes away your human. Poverty strips you of everything. So fear of poverty is a very, very nice force of working so hard, because you don't want to go back, because you know how it feels to be at the mercies of human being. That they're the ones who will give you that food to eat. That you have to kneel down, maybe. People are going through gender-based violence. People are going through GBV, gender-based violence in their marriages. You have to kneel down. Someone has beats you, but now because you don't know what you'll eat, you have to beg. Someone is treating you silent treatment. They're not talking to you, but now because you have to ask them for that money to go and buy supper. Somebody is mistreating you so bad. Yeah, I remember someone told me that the spouse told her after they were having some issues and she was not working. So she was like, this is too much, like, ini madharau. What you are doing to me is not good and all that. Apparently the spouse akaanza kugaslight, and one time the spouse told her, you cannot go silent to a breadwinner. No matter what I do, you still talk to me. Poverty. Anyways, so the fifth fear is the fear of old age. Kuzeeka ni wewe. People don't want to get old. We are not getting old, by the way, guys. Hey. So this fear is, you find that people do a lot of things. They mukorogo. They want to apply this lotion, the anti-aging, to do the anti-wrinkles. It's just fear of old age. But for me, I think sometimes, almost sometimes, old age is a blessing. Like seeing your grandchildren around, being called shush, is a blessing. So people fear to get old. I think maybe you should find out why you are fearing to get old. Maybe there are some underlying issues that you need to deal with, or maybe there are some traumatic events that you need to unfold. But all in all, being old nowadays is really is a blessing. People are dying every day. People are dying at a young age. That if you are old and you are being called shosho and babu, it's a nice thing, and it's really a blessing. More so if your choices, the video I talked about, if you made the right choices. Yeah. And the last fear is fear of death. Yeah, everyone has a fear of, dying. You don't know what will happen. Of course, like even when you're crossing the road and there's this person, maybe they're going through a lot in their lives, but hata wataki gari wagonge regardless of their problems. So I was telling a friend of mine, people are complaining, economy, but wacha gari toke huko, kila mtu hataki gari mgonge. So it means of course, you don't want to die young, you don't want to die right now. So people have fear of death. So these are the 6 main major type of fear that people do battle with every day in our day-to-day life. Fear of being criticized, a fear of being loved and belonging to a family that you don't want that tie to be cut, and now you have to compromise at the expense of your own peace, or at the expense of your own life. And then fear of ill health. We don't want to get sick. It is a bad thing, of course, but we pray that God will give us good health, because if you're not healthy, nothing matters. Someone said a healthy person has 1,000 problems, but a sick person has only one problem. They want to get healed. So make sure that if you are healthy, always give thanks to God, because a sick person doesn't have a lot of prayer points. They only have one prayer point: God, heal me. So that tells me and you that nothing can be compared with good health, because if you are not in a good state, physically, mentally, psychologically, all other dreams are useless. So if you are healthy, always give thanks to God. And then fear of poverty, our motivation hapa Kanairo. When people are walking very speedy pitana kwa streets, people are chasing poverty nani. And then fear of old age, and then fear of death. So I hope this has been a blessing to us, and my prayer is that God will help us, that we'll do our parts and God will do his part, that we'll always wake up every day with a grateful heart, that God, thank you that we are healthy today, that God, thank you that I'm not sick, because once you are sick, nothing counts. Always remember, a healthy person has 1,000 problems, or a healthy person has a lot of prayer points, a car, a house, money, love, what, but a sick person only has one prayer point: God, heal me. So thank you so much, and always remember to be grateful in everything, so that our gratitude will always make God to do more to us. So if you're healthy, even if you're sleeping chini kwa mattress, even if things are bad, but as long as you're alive, as long as you're in good health, give thanks to God. So for now, bye bye.